Hey everyone, welcome to video 5. What you're looking at here is the start of routing out the body of the guitar. But how did we get here? How did I make this template you're looking at? And what did the process look like? So stay tuned and we'll go through the whole process of making a template, cutting it out, and ultimately routing out a new cavity in the guitar, and then adding some controls to it. First, I started by creating a template in SketchUp that I could then cut out on the Cricut machine to size up with the controls in the pickguard. So what you see here is what's going to be cut out on just regular cardstock first. Here's the Cricut machine cutting out what I just designed into cardstock. This machine's pretty fantastic. They're designed for vinyl, but I use it for a lot of other things, clearly. So I'm just going to peel this off and then hold my controls to it and see how it looks. So as you can see here, some of the controls in the pickguard were a little bit tight with this particular template. So I had to basically go back into SketchUp and make a few little minor tweaks here and there. You can see where those connectors were going to hit. And over on this side, it was pretty close to the output jack, as well as the phase inverter switch. So made a few adjustments there. Once I was happy with it, I took it back to the Cricut machine, and this is chipboard, heavy chipboard that this machine can cut out. Now, cutting this out is a very slow process. The video you're watching here is sped up tremendously, and I cut out the whole middle section of it, so you could see it in action here. But basically, you're looking at the first draft of it, where I only cut out one. After I cut that out, I decided that I needed two to get it high enough. So what you see here is actually two of those chipboards taped together and then taped to the board. From there, I used the router with the template bit and the bearing to basically follow the chipboard template to cut out the master template that I'm making out of 1/2" MDF. Now, normally I'd make a template out of 1/4" MDF, but I wanted it to clear the bridge on the guitar, so I went with 1/2" in this case. So you can see I cut the cavity template out, and now I'm just using the jigsaw to cut that particular piece out so I can attach it to the guitar. This doesn't have to be nearly as precise because it's just going to hang over the edge. Sorry, my arm is in the view here. So as you can see here, there's the finished product in my hand, and here it is laid over the guitar. Now, it needed a little more cleanup right there near the bridge, which I did with a sander. I don't have a video of that. But ultimately, this is how it was going to sit on the guitar to get routed. It was tall enough to clear the bridge, so we're getting pretty close at this point. The next step was to drill some holes in it that were recessed that I could use pickguard screws to hold the template down to the actual guitar. You can see a couple pictures I took here. So once that was done, I attached the template to the guitar with just those 3 pickguard screws. It's not taped down or anything else. And from there, as you can see, I'm routing it out. Now, each time I'm holding up the router to show the bit is when I've basically either changed the bit to a longer one or have moved the bit slightly down with the router. This took quite a few passes and a few different bits because I didn't want a problem. Now you can see that's the yellow Amazon bit that I complained about in the last video. Unfortunately, I could not find a good quality 1.5" or 1.25", whatever it is, bit in time to do this. So I did most of the work with the quality bits and then used this Amazon one kind of at the end here just to get just down deep enough to reach the bottom. But pass after pass and lots of vacuuming, which I cut out of the video except for this last little bit here at the end. And this is what we got. Nice, clean, cutout cavity for the new pickguard. And next here we're going to look at the controls. Alright, so here we are nearing the end. I have everything hooked up, and I just wanted to go over how this is all connected. So I thought about going through the hookup process on video, letting you watch that. It's taking hours to do. So I think I was better off just explaining it here at the end rather than boring you with a bunch of video that I'd ultimately have to cut down. Anyway, so as we can see here, we got the pickups up at the top here. Sorry, my camera's mounted a little high here, so I can't see it very well. Got the two dual modes, got the single coil. They all run down into this mess. Let's get on to that. Let's see if I can adjust the positioning here. So this is the heart of the operation right here. This is the DG20 board that came with the last pickguard that came with 3 SAs in it. So look up EMG DG20. It's the David Gilmour set. That's what that's from. It has a volume pot, an EXG pot, and an SPC pot. This is a high-low boost. This is a mid-boost. That's how that works. The 5-way selector connects into it, and then we've got spots for the neck, middle, bridge. Battery connects here. Jack connects down here. So pretty straightforward. See the wires coming off the jack? That's where they're going. You know, see the switch? That's where they're going. Not a lot to figure out there. As you can see, I've got 2 batteries. Got them wired together to produce 18 volts. And I basically just took the same battery connector that I was using before, cut it, added another connector in line with it, gave me 18 volts. Of course, checked it with a voltmeter first before I put it in, even though I know what I'm doing. It's always good to make sure you didn't mess something up and fry anything. So basically the way that this works is we have dual mode pickups, such as this 89R in the neck. It runs down and plugs in to this push-pull pot right here. And these wires all along this side of it are all coming straight from the pickup. Now, what happens is when you push or pull the pot underneath here, it switches between being a single coil or a humbucker. I've got the manual over here. You can see EMG, where's it at? Dual mode pickups are a little different than your typical split coils that you're probably familiar with. In a split coil scenario, your humbucker looks more like this, where L1 and L2 are your 2 coils. And then when you split it, you basically get 1 single coil, very similar to any other single coil. And in the EMGs, it was actually 3 coils, and so you're either running a stacked single to prevent noise, or you're running side by side. That's what you're switching between. And this SA right here is basically that. It's just a stacked configuration. In fact, these 89s in single coil mode are designed to sound like an SA. So when this is all in singles, this should sound pretty similar to how it did before. So once it gets here, the output is on the top here. There are 2 rows of output pins. The top output pins I have running simply over to right here, where it says neck. The red one is coming straight off of this cable. There's a red one in here that goes for the power. So it sources its power there. The bridge is in a similar configuration. It goes to its push-pull pot. The top one runs over. Where things start to get a little different is that I also have connections to the second set of pins. And those run over to this kill switch. Now, this kill switch gave me some trouble at first because I was just plugged into it with both sets of pins. And the way that this is designed, the top and the top left and bottom right are together, and vice versa, and then the tops are switched and the bottoms are switched. In essence, it was stuck in on mode. And what this does is this takes the outputs from both of these push-pulls and it pairs them together. So in essence, giving the bridge and neck, pairing the bridge and neck together. So give some different configurations there. I can play the bridge and neck together, or I can notch it and play all 3 together, or whatever. What I ended up doing is just connecting the hot wires, the white, to the tops, and left the bottoms alone and left the grounds out. And the reason that works is because these still have the grounds from each of them running back through the circuit. So basically all this is doing is adding the hot from whichever pickup to the hot with whichever other pickup that already has ground, then going back. And I've tested all this and it all works. What you see here is the Pi2 circuit. This is EMG's answer to phase inversion. Being active pickups, you can't just swap the hot and the ground and get a phase inverted pickup, because with active pickups, the coils are connected to a preamp internally, and then the output is the amplified signal, and so you can't just swap the outputs on the preamp. And so what this does is it basically emulates, not sure how, I believe there's an IC on there that basically takes the signal from whichever pickup it's connected to, and when it's switched on, inverts the signal just as a passive phase inverted pickup would do. That I have running from the middle pickup. So when it's on, the middle pickup is inverted. And then if I notch either of these positions, then I get the inverted sound, because if you have phase inversion, you only hear it if you have two or more pickups running simultaneously. And basically what phase inversion does is it takes the signal from both and it cancels out any common sound. It's a very simplified version there. But so if you think about, you got the bridge with its brighter sound, and you got the middle that's not as bright. You invert it, you're going to take out some of the lower notes from the bridge and leave mostly the nasally high stuff. So that's that circuit. Next, we keep going here. I'm going to pull the instructions out again, because under this mess of wires, it's a little hard to see what's going on. The way that this push-pull pot is designed is that you can use it as either a volume or a tone pot. So if we look at the instructions here, it says to install a shunt on H6 if you want to use it as a volume control. Don't install it on H6 if you want it to be a tone control. And in both configurations, they have one on H4. So what I decided to do was actually put a switch on H6. And what that enables me to do is basically switch these between being volume pots or tone, depending on what I want to do. So if I have the bridge and the neck paired together, I can have separate volumes for each and kind of blend them, kind of similar to like a Gibson. So we flip things over. Look at the front here. See what's all in view here. Just mainly want to get the lower section. You guys know what pickups look like. So there we are. So here's the push-pulls. I ended up installing these backwards to what I had intended, but whatever. They're there now. So phase inverters here, and then the switch to combine bridge and neck is here. Here are the little tiny slide switches. I don't know if you can see them. Each of these right here, well, you can probably see these silver screws. These are holding the switches in. And on the left, we have volume, and on the right, we have tone. And then up is volume, down is tone. And then, of course, the push-pulls turn the pickups into single or humbucker mode. So I don't know if I've seen something like this on another guitar, the being able to switch a pot from being either volume or tone on the fly. But I think it'll be useful in this particular setup. So anyway, that's the beast as it is. Can't wait to get it all put into the guitar, put the neck back on, throw some strings on, and see what happens. So here we are with the final finished guitar. A couple things to note is that I did end up swapping the two toggle switches back again. I really ran into a lot of problems getting those two batteries into the cavity without them pushing on something and causing some kind of ill effect, whether it be the 5-way selector keeping it from selecting or causing some kind of buzz. I think I reconfigured that about 6 or 7 times before I finally was happy with how it sounded after I went in the guitar. So likely when I go and change the strings and batteries, 4 or 5 months from now, I will route out a battery box compartment and just put batteries in a box. So anyway, thanks again for watching. This will wrap up the process of building this guitar. My next video will be a special video where a friend of mine is going to put this guitar through its paces and demonstrate all the different sounds that it can make and do some fun stuff with it. I will tell you, I've been playing it a little bit for the last few days, and there's definitely some cool stuff that it can do. Stay tuned for that. Once again, thanks for watching, and like, subscribe, comment, definitely comment. Love to hear what you guys think of this, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much.